I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. We're on the VP4 again this week, and I want to show you how I would use the pitch follower modifier in a preset. Last week, I showed you how you could use an expression pedal to control things like the delay mix, reverb mix, and delay feedback all at the same time to give you wonderful expressive control over your time-based effects. Today, we're going to be using this pitch follower, which essentially detects the pitch that we're playing on our guitar and it turns it into a control signal. And I think the best way to demonstrate this is to start off with a drive block. So I've got the Bossy Effects factory preset. This is the fourth preset in the unit. I've got a lightly crunchy amp set up at the moment, and I'm just going to kick in this super OD in the drive block. That one's based on the classic Boss SD1, which is the perfect lower gain drive to kick a crunchy amp into that really smooth, sustaining lead tone there. What we're going to do here, similar to last week's video where we used an expression pedal to control different parameters, is we're going to choose the drive parameter in this block. I'm going to right-click it, and I'm going to set my source to be pitch over here. So what we need to do now is set a minimum and maximum value. I'm going to have the minimum somewhere around 1, and let's leave the maximum at 10. So what's going to happen now is as I play higher and higher on the guitar, this value, the drive block, is going to be turned up in real time. Let's just have a listen to how it works at the stock settings. This is pretty much magic. As I play higher and higher, normally the notes are going to thin out. They're going to be slightly lower in volume, but I'm going to compensate for that by having that overall drive amount turned up higher. So I get more and more gain and sustain the higher I play. This is absolute heaven for a lead guitar sound. One thing that I do like to tweak in here, if we right click this again and go back to the modifier settings in here, let's go to expert edit over here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to change these damping parameters. So this is going to change how quickly that drive parameter that we've mapped on here is going to sweep up and down. I generally like having the attack and release around 100 milliseconds as a starting point. This is going to give us a slightly more gradual sweep up and down as I play. So let's have a listen to that. It should be a little more natural. And if you like sustaining notes on there, I think this works better as well. Let's take this to the next level though, and also assign the pitch follower to the delay mix in here. So as I play higher, I'm going to get more drive out of this block, more gain and sustain, but I'm also going to introduce some wet delay echoes on here. So let's turn this delay block on. It's currently using the DM2 delay, and let's right click the mix parameter over here. Again, we'll set the source to pitch, and let's have the minimum not at 0, let's set it around like 5%, and the maximum somewhere up around 40% on here. Again, let's go to expert edit and tweak the attack and release. I'm gonna go for slightly longer values on here just because I want those delays to sort of be prominent before I go down and play some rhythm guitar on there. And this whole approach is perfect if you have to switch between playing rhythm and lead guitar really quickly, because we're essentially automating the amount of saturation and grease on the signal. It's going to be drier and there's going to be less gain when we play down low, and it's going to be wetter and more sustained and saturated as we play up high. This is awesome. This is super awesome if you're playing in stereo as well. So I've swapped over to a dual delay. These settings are based on the old Rockman Stereo Echo. I've got these in my blocks library, which is linked in the video description. Let's have the mix go up and down according to the pitch follower, but let's also set the master feedback on here. So we'll map that to the pitch parameter on there. We'll have the minimum somewhere around 20% and the maximum, let's go up around 60% on there. So like the last video where we were mapping not only the delay mix, but the feedback to an expression pedal, as I play higher now, the delay is going to be turned up and I'm going to get more feedback out of it. In this setup, I can play rhythm guitar without much delay mix or feedback. And then as I play higher and higher, it's just going to drive it into this glorious, lush lead tone. Let's have a listen to that. That is pretty amazing, right? We could even go further and say as we play higher, we want maybe more level out of the drive block, but we want the tone control to go down on there to smooth things out even more. So I'll attach the tone to the pitch modifier on here, and let's have the minimum value a little bit higher on there for when I'm playing rhythm guitar. So it's brighter, but we'll have the max down nice and low on there. Furthermore, we'll have the level turn up from a minimum of 7 to a maximum of 10. So we can really, really drive the front end of this amp. Let's do that now. Now, personally, I think just having the pitch follower attached to the amount of gain and the overall delay or reverb mix on there would get me through a lot of situations on there. I wouldn't have to do too much advanced tweaking on there or assign it to too many parameters, but you can take this further and say add a chorus block in there. Let's kick this one in and let's have it so that when I play down low, I've got a very low rate on the chorus and a really high mix. And then as I play up higher, we're going to increase the rate of the chorus, but we'll turn the overall mix down. So again, we do that by first mapping the rate to the pitch follower on here. When I'm down low, I want a low rate. When I'm up high, I want a higher rate on there. I don't know, somewhere around 6 Hertz is generally pretty good. And let's do the same thing for the mix, but we'll flip the values around. So I want a higher mix, and then I want a lower mix as I play up on there. So basically, as I play higher, I'm essentially introducing more wobble, but it's becoming more and more subtle on there. This should be really fun. Hopefully that gives you a really great starting point to use the pitch follower in your VP4 presets or to modify existing VP4 presets to get what you want out of them. And I'd love to hear from all of you about some ideas you might have for using the pitch follower modifier in conjunction with different effects blocks and their parameters. It would be great to get a bunch of extra ideas from the community. And if we get enough of them, maybe I'll do a video in the future where I try out all of those. That would be super awesome. If you've got any other questions or comments, put them in the comments section below. Otherwise, I will see you all on next week's Tuesday Tone Tip. Go and play your guitars and have some fun.